Greetings, everybody. Nina the Mystic here, and welcome to another SINDAY Live. Tonight, we got a very special guest, EA Koetting. How you doing tonight, EA?
Doing spectacular. Thank you. How about yourself?
Not too bad. Not too bad at all. I'm kind of enjoying the spring weather that we got coming around here now. And I don't know about your neck of the woods. What's the weather like over there?
Yeah, it's starting to get springy. It is starting to get springy. The sun's out. Well, it's kind of doing, it's doing a little bit of toggling right now at this time of year, because I'll have a couple days of springtime and then all of a sudden it's rain and it's freezing and weather. And I think we're about through that though. Into April, it's going to start getting real warm.
I bet, because I know you're in the desert there, so you're kind of known for the hot deserty kind of weather. Here, I'm on the West Coast, but it's more rainforest here, so a lot of humidity, and we have that crazy weather too. That'll be depending on what side of the street you're on. It might be sunny over here, and it might be hailing over here. So kind of crazy. But yeah, at least we're over the winter. So
when I was a kid, I moved up to Sequim, Washington with my dad. My parents had divorced, and I kind of chose a parent, and went up to Sequim, which is right by Port Angeles. And it is coming from the desert up there. I was not prepared for that much water, just that much rain. I mean, it would get knee deep. I'd never experienced in my life knee deep rain, but that was just a common thing.
Yes, yeah. You can get really bad. Like some nights when they have flood warning, like rain warning, it can be up to like 100 mil and stuff like that in just a few hours. And sometimes it does flood in places. So yeah, I guess a little crazy. But anyway, speaking of actually desert, we just we did that group ritual over on your channel there with Paimon. And so whenever I think, desert and whatnot, I always think of him, on the camel and and that kind of thing. And it was kind of funny because last week I did a show on the Hopi prophecy, which totally actually took me, like I wasn't expecting the show to go the way that it did, because I didn't actually study for the show until just before. And I realized, this show is going to be completely different. I basically debunked the whole Hopi prophecy on my show. But anyways, leading up to that, I saw that video with the thing on the wall and everything. And right away I saw Paimon. I saw a sigil, like that's Paimon. And so then I started wondering, what's the connection with the Hopi and Paimon, I wonder, and the Hopi and the Mayan are all from your neck of the woods, right down there mid smack of Utah and all of that area there, which it is very deserty, which makes sense. And so I'm wondering, I don't know, have you heard any connection with Paimon and the Hopi or the Mayans for that matter, because they were BFS as well? So
not directly like that. I'm sure there's got to be a lot of connections, because look, my philosophy on this is that these spirits are a big part of our evolution, and that they kind of followed us and they went to everywhere that mankind was to deliver the same message. The exact same. They gave every part of the world the exact same magical technologies, the exact same symbols to use. And so sure, Paimon's mixed in there. I have been very clearly able to trace Beelzebub to the Aztecs as Huitzilopochtli is the name, and it's the main god that they would perform their human sacrifices for. He was the hummingbird god and the god of everything that flies, and had power over all of the spirits and over magic. And so it's like, there's Beelzebub right there, and so there are these delineations you can really easily draw. But I've not looked specifically into Paimon and the Hopi. So like you discovered on your thing, it's hard to trace any of this information back more than just a couple of generations. And then you find out somebody in the 70s just made this up and started talking about it. And it's like, well, wait a minute, what's the actual story? And so it is hard to get your hands, or you can't even get your hands on the actual story. You got to get your ears on it by listening to the people. That's the only way to really understand the same thing. Now, Emily, great question. Emily asked the feathered serpent. No, that's another one entirely. So I believe that the feathered serpent, Quetzalcoatl, is a manifestation of Lucifuge, who's also a manifestation of Thoth and Mercury and Ningazida. That this is the same feathered serpent that keeps appearing in all these different systems.
Yeah, I'm starting to see that too, because I'm very interested in ancient civilizations and where we come from and all that kind of stuff, and then try to, piece it together with the occult information and stuff like that. And obviously, these beings have been here way longer than humanity. Like they were here long before we were. And so I think these beings that have now been demonized by the church as being bad, I think they had a lot to do with us, like with, you know what I mean? Like I'm looking at sigils and I'm like, yeah, I can see where this is coming from. You know what I mean? And I don't think people realize, how important these beings are and how much they're still, I would think, influencing in today as well. And so, all the natives, they all just call it the Great Spirit. They never have a name for any spirit. And I think that's kind of neat too, because, who is this Great Spirit? Which spirit are they talking to exactly? You know
For
what I
sure.
mean?
Well, yeah. Well,
Yeah.
with the Navajo, they have the holy people is what they call them. It's just the holy people, and it's just the spirits that are in the pre-existence or in the other more subtle worlds. But the only one that has a name, he is Hashish Hazini, and he is the holy person that turned bad and burned down heaven. And for it's interesting because he's the only one that has a name. And there are no rituals to summon him. There are only rituals to keep him away. And so I'm currently working on finding some rituals to summon him, and developing my own. But yeah, but it is that it's like the most holy items of worship don't have in Native American culture. A lot of them don't really have specific names, but more just like a title.
It looks like Lucky's got some information on this. I've never even heard of this being, but the
That's
Aztecs were known for the human, S word there. I don't know why I want to say it. I remember when I went to Mexico actually and saw the Chichen Itza and all of that, and they showed us where the heads would roll and all this, and I was like, wow, they were quite the people there. And but this god apparently didn't want, according to Lucky here. I don't know where he's getting his information, but that's interesting.
That is interesting. That's Quetzalcoatl. So that is the plumed serpent or the feathered serpent of the Aztecs. And he didn't want human sacrifices because his sacrifices, he would eat the sun. Every now and again, he would come and destroy and eat the entire sun. So he didn't need a human sacrifice. Everything would get extinguished when he ate the sun. So yeah, he didn't need one by one. He's just going to take them all at once. So yeah.
That is interesting because I've noticed myself the changes in the sun. I don't know if you've noticed that. Like when we were kids, the sun was yellow. It was a lot more mellow. We used to be out all day, and even with my fair skin, and didn't really get burnt and whatever. Now I will go outside, and it's like, I'm wearing like a sun umbrella now. I can't even stand the sun on me. And if we're in it, it's too hot, and it's just not the same as it was, I feel. And I've heard a lot of other people saying the same thing. What do you find being down in the desert there like?
Yeah, no, absolutely. Well, so there have been a lot of. It was right before 2012. I actually went to breakfast with my buddy Lee. We've been friends since we were like 12 years old. We both grew up in the desert here, and I started mentioning that to him. I'm like, something's different. The skies are different. I remember when I was a kid, the skies were just such a beautiful blue color, and now it's like in the dead of summer, it's like washed out. Like the colors have gotten brighter and washed out.
Yeah.
Like everything's overexposed, and there's the theory of the, what do they call it, the sun simulator, that China was putting out some stuff about launching an artificial sun. And so there's some thoughts that maybe they've already done that. There's an artificial sun but I don't know. That seems like that's stretching quite a bit. I don't know.
Yeah, there's a few theories out there with that. I do remember a few years ago, it was a big thing about China having the second sun or something. I'm not sure. I haven't really heard much about that since then. I guess there's so much else going on in the world now that, the second sun is not that important. But I've heard, people who are sort of in the science kind of, community, I guess, are saying that the light spectrum, we're going from yellow to blue, actually. And so we're right in the middle right now with that sort of intense whiteness kind of thing. And then we're going to be starting to see that it's going to go more bluish. And this is a cycle that the sun goes through. So, yeah, very interesting.
That is interesting. And, that it does. So my former career as a cabinet painter, whenever the cabinets, if the cabinets look too blue, you spray yellow on top and it kills that, or vice versa. And so that's an interesting. I got to look more into that because if that's true, that has all kinds of implications. Here's my theory with that: if we are actually going to be surrounded by blue light and we're actually receiving blue light from the sun, what that's going to do is that's going to activate us all spiritually. With the yellow light, that's triggering the lower chakras. That's triggering all this animalistic behavior. The blue light should invoke a more spiritual type of attitude, activating the throat and the crown chakra.
I was going to say the blue is with the throat chakra, and what's happening today. Everybody's kind of waking up. Everybody's kind of talking about things that we didn't talk about before, so that's actually kind of interesting too. So yeah. And what is it going to do once we go even more into that blue? I don't know. And maybe this is one of the reasons why everybody's got the blue tint on our glasses and our phone. We'll put it on, so that things aren't as bright, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
So maybe we should be wearing that when we're outside as well. That's to avoid sort of the blue tint there. But very interesting.
Like the right hand solar path with the yellow light and the left hand path with the lunar blue light. That could be really interesting. That would be really cool, because there is, like, with the light that I've got just filtered in my temple behind me, I've got colored lights for a reason. Passing light and making light different colors is very powerful. They used to talk about this in a lot of ancient religions and ancient even grimoires of surround yourself in the violet transformative light or the blue light of alchemy. And it's like now in today's age, we actually can utilize colored light, and you should in your rituals.
Absolutely. Color therapy is a big thing now in I don't know, what do you call it, new age community or whatever it is nowadays. But yeah, color therapy, if you're working on different chakras, you should be immersing yourself in that color, maybe eat foods with that color or wear that color, and definitely use it, for your chakra workings and whatnot. So that's definitely a huge thing. So yeah, and I can see that with rituals as well. The red, it's got that power, in there, and it represents blood, and which is life, and all that kind of, and of course your lower chakra as well. But yeah, it looks very cool. I like the blue better than the green.
Yeah.
The green didn't do anything for you. The blue and the red, it just makes it sharp. It looks good.
No, it does create a better visual backdrop against my skin tone and everything else, for sure.
Yeah.
So yeah,
it does.
In addition to being ultra powerful and demonic, it's also good for my skin tone.
There you go. Hey, even the Satanists need to worry about that,
Especially the Satanists. We don't get out as much as other people.
Or at least that's the stigma around it, which is kind of, like what is new in the community? I don't know how much you're in. It seems like the community's gotten very small. A lot of people have dropped out, that we used to sort of, and of course then, you kind of disappeared, and for some people maybe here haven't seen you in a while. They're probably wondering what happened to you. So maybe talk a little bit about that. What, where are you now? What are you doing? What's new?
Well, dang, yeah. Well, for me, one of the biggest things that my cancellation, I just said this the other day on talking to Enoch Petroselli, had a great conversation with him, and it occurred to me that when I got shut down, it enlightened me to the fact that the work I'm doing is dangerous to the powers, to the systems of control. That they don't like people having this kind of power over their own lives. And so it really reframed for me what I was doing. I wasn't just running a business and trying to get the word out. No, it reframed the whole experience I'm having as warfare, that we are in the middle of a war over your energy, over your mind, over your emotions. And everywhere you look, somebody's trying to trigger and steal what's yours. And so it really lit a light bulb off in my head of going, oh, okay, now I see why it's so important that I get this stuff into people's hands, that I show people and give them the magic, give them the spells that they need, whatever it is people need to take power over their own lives. And so, so it's interesting getting canceled and having not really that many outlets into the world. I've been doing my work stronger than ever, and it has been awesome. So along those lines, with handing out these weapons of spiritual warfare, I've really put most of my emphasis in spell books, just getting people the absolute, just all the spells that you need for wealth, for love, for I'm talking to Timothy about getting the Baneful Magic spell book going. I know a lot of people want that, but that's going to be sticky. That's going to get some bad press, and we're going to have to figure out how to use that to our advantage. And we will be able to. But yeah, getting these spells out, and so I've done a ton of spell books. My other focus has been in working with Satan and with Satan's closest allies in learning different forms of sorcery from him. So he spent a few years teaching Martin McGregor and I how to use fire to its maximum in ritual, standing inside of a triangle of fire, using that as a gateway as I'm invoking, or even having fire in front of me, playing with fire. I've been doing a lot of fire play, and because fire does open up absolute gateways. And now it's transitioned into postures, into learning the different postures of receiving and transmitting power. And so those are some things I've been working on. As far as the community, though, here's what we saw. We saw the fake people get tired and they got burned out. Like the people who are just in this to try to get some clout and try to make people think that they're so powerful or they're so this or that, the other, they burned out. And what remains are those of us that are actually serious about this. And I would rather hang out with you than a million freaking fake people, because that's what it was really dominated by, was a ton of fake people just trying to get clout. And it's like, what? So when the clout goes away, you get your knees kicked out of you, and they take away your ability to make money at this. Are you going to still do it? I am. I know you are. So yeah.
Yeah, I know. Me too. I've got my channel gone. Everything's gone. We're down to basics again, but we're still here. Still doing it, and going back to the elites, or whoever you want to call them, they're all doing this, and I think this is all coming out as well, which we kind of got to be careful, because people are looking at us thinking that we are the problem, so there's that. But the thing is that they're already doing it. They have been doing this for eons, and they don't want us to know how to do this. Because then we're going to be in our own power, or become a living god. That's literally your website, and that's basically what everybody's trying to do. You know what I mean? To try to be your own god or goddess, and yeah.
And it's all really, really easy. I mean, the fundamentals of magic are super easy. It is the ability to shift the way that you're thinking about things, shift the way that you're feeling about things, and you do start to be able to guide your life. But I'm like in my mid-40s and I'm just barely figuring this stuff out. It would have been so cool for, if we were in elementary school learning this in what. But here's the problem with that. Elementary school run by the government? I think not. Like there needs to be a whole reworking of all of our social systems so we can actually freely teach real information. Because this is real information. Every branch of the military has psychic operators in that branch. They're using these psychic operators to bring down UAP. None of the things that we're talking about, it's not like they know this is not fake. They know the reality of all this because they're using it themselves. They just don't want us to have that power.
Yeah, and the problem is that the elites, the rich people, the people in charge of this, world, I guess, they don't put their own kids in the public school. They have their own little schools, and all of these secret societies and all that. That's what they're all about. They teach your kids from a young age the truth, about what's really, going on and what has been happening and our actual history and all of this, right? That it's all coming out now, that most of the things that we've been taught in school is all just bull crap.
It's programming.
But they know it. Yeah, they know it.
Yeah.
You know, the royal kids and all of these people, they don't go to, they don't learn all this, BS that we do. And so they all know how to do it, or at least they hire big, black magicians to do it for them, right? Because they don't like to get their hands dirty, so they'll hire. And I mean, you go back, you look at Nostradamus, he was a live-in the castle with Queen E, so, not just hired, but they're live-in, whenever she wakes up from a dream, boom, he's right there to interpret and look at her chart and all this. These people, that's the thing, but they've gaslit it all into us believing that it's evil, that it's from the devil and all this nonsense, and really the devil has only been here in our consciousness for the last 2,000 years. That's it. As a pagan, I was never in there. There was no devil. There was none of this, that they've constructed, right? And, they work with these beings, but they don't want you working with them, and it's kind of one of those things. And so I'm kind of glad to see it's coming out more now that's, about this. So.
Yeah, for sure. Well, and that is the thing in ancient pagan, and even pagan's not the right word for it, because pagan is ancient non-Abrahamic faiths had a place in their society for everybody. So if you're crazy, cool, we got a place for you in our society. You can be, you've got this. If you're, you're a warrior, great. You're a farmer, great. Also, if you're a psychic, hey, we got this, we got a hut for you. You can go train with the shaman and learn how to do this crazy stuff. But what they've done is they funneled all of that away from a self-selection of the population to their selection. For instance, in the army, they've got a remote viewer program, right? And you can't volunteer for that program. If you already have psychic abilities, you can't get in the program, because they only want people that they can control completely. So they make sure that, they've got selections, people who are having, vivid dreams and stuff like that. But they're also looking for people that are really pliable, people that will only take orders, and people who naturally pursue the occult on their own aren't really the order taking kind. So yeah, we do naturally find ourselves as the rebels, especially in this society where it's just begging for people to rebel against it. Yeah,
it's not too hard, is it? The way it's going. So now it's just so crazy right now. It's just unbelievable. I have a hard time. I got to distance myself a little bit, because it's a little overwhelming. We're literally on the brink of war and everything else. I don't know if you heard about Putin yesterday and all this, and
with the convoy.
Well, one of his limos got blown up or something. They still haven't released whether or not he's still with us or not. So I don't know. He might be gone, and they're making some deals in the background here that we don't know about, and so it's a little unnerving. Not knowing, what
the UK just committed troops to Ukraine too. They just said that we've got to clamp down on this, and it's like, oh man, everybody's and even that war doesn't happen organically. In the 20th year of every single century, all of a sudden there breaks out breaks out a war.
Yeah, every 100 years. It seems to be on the clock. Every 100 years, we got to have a good war. It kind of cleanses out a bunch of people, and they boost the economy, and that's how they look at it, right?
And they redirect the narrative. That we can see that with World War I set the stage for redirecting of the narrative, and then World War II really cinched that down. That here's the good guys, here's the bad guys, and they completely locked the world into a perception of each other. To this day, we still see people as our enemies, that if you sit down and have dinner with them, you understand these aren't your enemies at all, that these are just other human beings. And when you said that these the elites aren't sending their children just to public school, they're also not sending them to war. They're sending the poor people.
That's right. Mm-hmm. Yeah, you don't see them sending their signs out there, of course not. You know, it's kind of like how Biden left literally the last day. He pardons everybody, you know. So, you know, it's just ridiculous. You know, it's just, yeah. I can't wait for all of this to be gone, to be honest with you. You know, it's going to be interesting to see. Let's start over again. You know, this isn't working. So, but yeah, it seems like people are kind of commenting on the pagan thing here. Yeah, pagan is just a blanket word, I guess, for what we were. Like even the Norse, you know, we're pagan. So basically absorbing or observing the you know, the seasons and you know, it's all about harvest and you know, and all of this kind of things. And yeah, they used to, you know, give sacrifices to the gods, you know, to ensure that they had a good crop and all this kind of stuff. And there was a shaman, you know, or a vulva or whatever they call the women, you know, depending on which region you're in, you know. But yeah, you know, wise women, which are then witches, which of course they now have gaslit into something that was bad. But these were the healers back in the day. These were your spiritual practitioners, you know, that you know, they essentially just took them out and put these priests in there, and we've seen how that went. You know, that's all also very exciting to see. Now apparently Kenneth Copeland is being jailed.
Yeah, I saw J.S. Garrett. I think he's in the chat. What's up, brother?
I said Kenneth's going to jail. Yeah. And I hear the other chick too. What's her name? Of the clown face? I call her clown face. It looks like she's got plastic surgery done. The woman who's got tons of money too. Another one of those shyster.
Like Nancy Pelosi?
No, she's a minister. You know, on TV, minister. Oh, what's her name? I'm sure somebody in here will know, but she's got it looks like a clown face to me. Just the way her mouth is reminds me of that clown in the movie. But I'm so excited to see all these shysters getting, you know, caught now and go to jail for what they've done, you know. And then the next thing, the last thing will probably is going to be the Vatican. They're going to, you know, expose them and see what's down in the basement there and expose all the things that they've done to us. You know, you know how many pagans that they killed in the name of their religion? I mean, you know, like the wars that we've had since is nothing compared to how many people lost their lives for not wanting to convert.
Oh, absolutely. And
that's what we need to remember. You know, they want to say, lest we forget. Well, let's not forget that. You know,
from every single cultural background, whether we're talking about Irish and Scottish, or we're talking about Germanic, or we're talking about African, every single people have been abused by the Catholic Church, and it's time for a reckoning for sure. That's it's really incredible that a criminal organization like the Catholic Church can just get by for as long as they have, because they are nothing but a criminal organization.
Yeah, they're a mafia, and they're, you know, holding hands with the government. You know, that's why they don't pay any taxes and all this kind of stuff. Yeah, no, I can't wait for the whole thing to crumble. Honestly, you know, yeah.
Yeah, and it is. You know, we can see it happening around us. The problem is everything else is crumbling too. So we are seeing we are witnessing a complete breakdown of our civilization, and the powers that be are just trying to patch it up and put band-aids on it and tell us it's okay. But you know, it's not. Like we can see that. You know, I'm on the edge of like super excited and really kind of scared, because it is breaking apart really, really fast.
Well, yeah, as it's crumbling, we're going to feel it too, right? Our ground is going to shake as well. And you know, we're going to have to, you know, but at least we know what's happening. It's going to be a lot harder for all these people who do not know what's happening, and especially those who are religious. A lot of them, I don't think mentally are going to be able to take it. I think a lot of them are going to just exit out of here. They're not going to be able to take that whole thing. It's just going to be too much. So be prepared for that. Yeah.
With Dolores Cannon and with a lot of others that have been telling us about this, the merger of multiple worlds into a greater, you know, frequency and vibration. the advice has always been to bring yourself to that vibration first. Don't let the wave hit you and get you and knock you over, but start bringing your vibrational rate up. And that's exactly what we're doing. And I do think, you know, with everything going on in the world, I've got to bring my attention to things I can control and just make my life, you know, wake up and do my meditations and do my rituals and do the things that I need to do to make my life and make myself good, regardless of what the world looks like. Yeah. I do think, though.
I think that's a healthy way to go about it, because otherwise you can get a little overwhelmed, right? With everything. So.
Oh, for sure. And yeah, and they're really the harder you get squeezed, the more stuff's going to pop out of you. And so with not many challenges in life, my magic is just kind of blah. When the world starts hitting me, that's when my magic gets super powerful, because I need it. And so if we move into a realm of disasters and cataclysms, I'm kind of excited to see what kinds of magic I'll be able to do. You know, because I asked Lucifer when I was 19 years old, I asked him if he would give me the power to call fire down from the heavens. And he said, yeah, if you need it, you'll have that power. If you don't need it, then no, it's going to laugh at you. All the power is going to laugh at you. But if you actually need fire to come down from the heavens, you'll be able to do it. And I was like, okay, cool. And that stuck with me, is like, what kind of conditions would I need to have in front of me for me to muster up the will and the power to call fire down from the heavens? And I think it would have to be something squeezing me really, really, really tight. And it sucks to get squeezing that tight, but to see what pops out of you when you do face that kind of resistance is actually kind of cool.
Yeah, I mean, you know, that's the thing. Like, if you're just going through the motions, yeah, you know, whatever, reading from some grimoire and just whatever, going through the motions, yeah, nothing's going to happen. You know, you actually got to put your will into that. You know, you really got to want this thing that you're doing, you know, and you really got to mean it and really feel it, you know, and that's what the magic is all about. And, you know, and it's not that much mystical, really. You know, a lot of people think that, oh, this is evil and all this, but it's no different than any other intention setting or whatever the New Agers like to call it nowadays. You know, it's just, yeah, he's putting your intention and your will into it and then believing that it is done. When you're done, it's done. You know what I mean? So absolutely. Yeah. Just reading the words. And no, that's not going to do anything. You have to actually put your, you know, energy into it. So
yeah.
Sure. There was some interesting comments here.
You know, so what's up, JD Temple and Cora Rage? What's up, guys?
Yeah, there's lots of people in here. Somebody said that they thought that you had been killed. Where is that?
That's weird.
That is weird. So obviously, that's what I mean. Some people may not know where you are now, because you kind of disappeared off of the mainstream sort of.
I'll tell you this: if you kill me in a dream, you better wake up and apologize.
Yeah, exactly, right?
No, I'm more alive and more powerful and more on point than I have ever been in my entire life, my friend. Make them hold up a newspaper. I don't have a newspaper. What do I have? Here, I've got 2025 base tabs. This is my base tab book of 2025. That's the closest I've got to show you a date. Oh, here you go.
Hey, you're going live right now, so I mean, I don't know how much proof that could be. I mean.
So Saturday, March 30th, boom. You can see it on my phone if you zoom in. There you are. Mm-hmm. See? Wouldn't that be awesome? Yeah. Wouldn't it be awesome if I really was dead and I had pre-filmed a bunch of interviews to release for like years after my death to just make people think something's weird? That'd be awesome. I'm going to do that. In on it, I guess. Yeah. So when I die, I got a new plan, man. This is going to be fun. I'm going to mess with all you guys.
Yeah, no, EA's live every Wednesday over on Odysee, guys. So I got his links down in the description there, so go and check him out. Follow him over on Odysee, and then he's got a TikTok account as well that I don't have down there because I'm not on TikTok. But and then what else you got? Oh, website, of course. Still his website, same website. You know, all the stuff that he had before is still there. So go and check that out.
You know, for me, the website's the biggest thing. You know, this is fun. It's fun to be able to do videos and to do live chats and stuff. I don't need it. The website just sells books and sells the consultations and the video courses. All that is just kind of as long as I just keep creating things, the website just keeps selling them, and that's all good. But this is like the fun side of it for me, is just to get to chat with cool people, really. So yeah. But yeah, every Wednesday over there on Monday, every Monday at 2 p.m. Eastern on my TikTok. It's a lot of fun. So yeah, I've never, when I got kicked off Facebook and YouTube, I took about 3 months off to decide. Timothy and I just both need to decide if we wanted to keep going on this. If the risk and the punishment that we always get is going to be worth it, and we both decided to. But we took about 3 months off, and then came back to it, and that really just allowed us like a long kind of Christmas winter break, and then came back to it in the spring, and just full force ever since then. So yeah. Every now and again, though, it is funny. People pop up and, I thought you were in prison, or I thought you were
dead or prison or whatever. Yeah, I know, right?
No, there's no prison that's built. There's no prison that's built that can hold me. There's nothing that can kill me until my time.
Yeah, that's for sure. But before we get too long in the hour here, I want to ask you about the white light. What kind of experiences did you have with it?
Good experiences, great experiences. So when I first got it from you, I was like, okay, I'm going to spray this at the beginning of every ritual, and at the beginning and the end of every ritual, and just see. And really quickly, I was like, I don't want to spray it at the end, because it does too intense of a clearing. Because it is just, you spray it and it's like everything just is gone. It's actually kind of nuts. And so I was like, I want things to linger a bit. At this point, instead of keeping it in the temple and using it for my rituals, I'm using it more in the main house. After I do a ritual, I like this temple to be cooking and just stewing in all of the energies. And 100%, this does clear it out a little too much. And so what I do is I close the door, and I go across the threshold just with the door closed, and spray the door. I spray the main area, so that way it's like you can feel going over that threshold from the main house to the temple, even a temperature difference. It's really cool. So that keeps my main house just like, I can go relax. I don't have all the spirits there whispering in my ear, and all the energy kind of just stewing on me. So that is awesome. I've also used it in the yard a lot. Just every now and again, I'll feel like energy just gets accumulated in the yard. I don't know if it's people passing by or something. I don't know what it is, but it's just like random chaotic energy in the yard. So I'll just take it and literally just a few sprays and kind of mist it, and it's perfect. It just clears it right out. So yeah. And then another thing I've actually done, because this is the second bottle, I've used up the first bottle already, is unbottling it and just putting a couple drops of it, like uncorking it, putting a couple drops of it in the bath, putting in that in my salt bath. That's a really great cleansing bath.
Yes, absolutely. I know. Yeah, you could use it for all kinds of these. You could even put a little bit of this in your mop bucket as you're washing the floors. You're literally cleansing it spiritually as well as physical cleaning. So as a black magician, I guess, you would use this first, like before you do your workings. That way you are making sure that you don't have any other spirits, any randoms or randos, there's, that the place is clean. So whatever spirit comes in, it's the one that you're summoning, and not just that's the thing about the Ouija board and whatever. You don't really know who you're talking to here, and you can get into some trouble there. So, and if you are playing with the Ouija board, this would definitely be a good thing to use after, to get rid of them. But if you are doing a ritual and you want that spirit to just, you don't want to be dismissing it. It's kind of rude. That's kind of how they used to do that, right? They were like, banish it right away, and it's just like a big deal. And it's like, we don't really do that nowadays. We just kind of like, let it go when it wants to. Just like any other guest in your house, you're not going to boot it out as soon as dinner's over. Okay, get the heck out of here now, So you leave when it feels natural to leave, So you definitely don't want to be using this at the end of anything like that, unless you had a bad experience and you're like, okay, exit, I want you gone. So it is actually a really good tool for that if you do get yourself into trouble. It's a bit of a cheat, you can get rid of it that way. Yeah,
for sure. Well, one thought I had is that it could be great if you have hag attacks or sleep paralysis to keep a bottle by your bed. And you know, if you're a lot of times, I've had several, and I feel like I can feel it before I go to bed. Like I can feel like something weird is going on here.
Yeah.
Just to say that. Another thing that I've used it for is if I've been feeling like, because I'll just out of nowhere start feeling sad or feeling angry, frustrated, and it's like, where'd that come from? Spray that, and then just like step into the spray, you know, like I used to do when I was a teenager. I'd do that the body mist, spray that and step into it. So I smell good for girls. It's very similar, and just step into that, let it fall on me. Because like you were saying with like rituals, you want to know who's there. That's also a thing, is like you don't know that what you're feeling is actually your emotion. That might not be even your emotion or your thought.
That is that's a very good point. So for you light workers out there and your new agers and all of this, you know, residual energy is a thing. You know, if you go to the mall or you go to the airport and whatever, you know, you're all fine before you got there. Next thing you know, you're in a cranky mood. What's going on? Well, you probably picked up something. There is energies from other people. There could be entities. There could be all kinds of things. So when you're out and about, you're at work, you know, you go to work, you're all fine. And then 10 minutes in, now you're all cranky. That's probably because your coworker is got some residual energy there, or something's going on. So that's another great thing that you could use if you find that, oh man, you know, I just want to get rid of this dense feeling around me. I picked up something. You just use it, lightly, just so you can just do it all, you know, just step into it, or however you want to do it. But, and also, you know, you have people come to visit. Well, they're bringing energy and they're bringing entities with them. And so sometimes the sage might not do it. You know, you can use your sage, obviously, and whatever, but sometimes you need to use this on top of it to get rid of that energy, depending on, especially if there's been arguments or if there's been illness in the house. You want to clear it all out, get rid of all of that kind of stuff. And this, it works like a hot damn. Like, so there you go.
Yeah, that's a good idea. And also, I guess if you, because I'm not gonna say this is true for all black magicians, but most black magicians were really sensitive, and so when we go out into public, we can pick up a lot of people's grossness. And so also, if you find yourself coming in from a day and out on the town where you had to do a bunch of shopping, that's me. If I have to go do a bunch of shopping in town, when I come home, I'll feel kind of bogged down. Yeah, just a couple mists of that on you might do the trick.
Yeah, it does. It's kind of like, you know, when you come home from a long day and you smoke a joint, it just instantly, you know, it changes your frequency, which it does, right? This does the same thing, but without getting stoned. It just instantly, when you come home from work and you're feeling like, oh my God, I must have picked up something, or, you know, you're in rush hour traffic and you're all mad, and, you know, you just picking up all these things and whatever, and you just want to quickly, like, you don't have time to sit there and do yoga. You don't have time to sit there and meditate to get yourself back down into a, you know, a loving spiritual state. You can cheat and use this, a couple of sprays, and you take a deep breath as you're walking into it. Boom, you're instantly, your frequency just changed, just like that. So it's kind of like a little cheat thing to do if you just don't have the time to do all that spiritual stuff, you know.
Well, and what it is, you know, where it is a cheat. What's it cheating for is your spiritual hygiene. You know, that is, when we're talking earlier about the way that the world might go and the cataclysms that are probably coming. The thing you can control is your energetic state. And so, yeah, if you absolutely build in some yoga and meditation and stuff into your routine. But I do yoga and meditation. I still reach for this, you know, because
I mean,
can't always, well, and also sometimes, you know, you need a little something outside of you to like you said, like the smoking a joint or having a sip of a margarita or whatever it is, something outside of you that can come in and act upon your world. And this does a great job of that. Just an external little, just I do 3 pumps. That's just kind of the ritual. Pump, and you know, thrice pumped, once done. So
yeah, exactly. Yeah, it's not in lieu of, obviously, your spiritual practice. Obviously, you should be doing all that anyways. But I mean, yeah, things do happen throughout the day, and you know, especially like if most people are in, you know, they don't have much time, you know, between work and kids and wife and whatever, you know what I mean? You want to instantly, you don't have time to, because you want to go from work mode to family mode. Well, how can you do that? How can you achieve that in like a split second? instead of going home kicking the dog, just use this. It just clears up your mood. Like it clears up all the energy, the energy field around you. And it really does work. Like I've tried it several times on several occasions, and it's amazing, if I have to say it myself. Yeah, it's pretty good. So just email me, guys, if you would like to get your hands on some. There's more detail in the description, of course, of the video. And
so
yeah.
Have you thought about reversing the polarity? See, if you were to make so that's a white light, make a black muckiness type of spray that you spray, and it just brings darkness in, and it brings all. There's that in voodoo where you have cleansing waters and stuff, and you can do reversals where it does the exact opposite. So you can go dump that water on your enemy's doorstep, and their house is going to get possessed by a million awful things, stuff like that.
Yeah, see, I'm not into the baneful stuff at all. At all. Yeah. No. Yeah. So you won't find anything like that here. To be honest with you, if I have a problem, all I need to go is to my altar and partition it, and it's done. I don't have to do anything. I don't have to do any, so if it's warranted, warranted, yeah, I've had that. Yeah, so I don't really have to do a whole lot. So there you go. If you got a good spiritual team around you, you shouldn't have to. But yeah, I stay away from that because it can backfire so bad. Oh, yeah. I actually last year I did a 1 whole year verbal I was going to say contract, but I can't remember the word of it now, with Belial. Well, okay, exclusive. Well, I didn't think of it. I didn't know what the heck I was doing. I'm going to do a Jupiter ritual. I'm going to do this. I'm going to do that. Well, it all backfired on me because of that. I didn't think of that. So you got to be very careful with what you're doing. Yeah, if you make a promise to an entity, you better, and yeah, a planet is an entity. You can't be working with you can't work with anything. Okay, if so I learned that the hard way. So I try and stay away from that. I don't want anything backfiring on me and whatever. If I need help, all I have to do is ask and it's done. So yeah.
Awesome. Yeah, cool.
Yeah, but I see there's a lot of occultists in here. Welcome everybody. Make sure you hit that like button and subscribe, obviously, and check out all the links down below for ways to follow and engage in future times. And yeah, so what else is new with you? Like, what else is going on? Like, it seems very quiet. The community has really died down, I would say, in the last year or two, eh? It just seems quiet now. Like, everybody, where did they go? Like, what's going on? Is it because of the state of the world? Everybody kind of just are stepping back?
I mean, some of them died from death curses. Some of them went and hid so they wouldn't die from death curses. Many of them are still living. And then, like I said, a ton of people were just in it for clout. And when they found out that clout chasing on the left-hand path is the most fruitless waste of your time. Because first off, every one of your audience members is psychic, so they can see right through your bullshit, and it's just and then also it's the most limited field in the world. If you want to write a book on anything, black magic is what you're least likely to get the most audience for. So I think the grifters that were just trying to grift and get clout, they just didn't have. They just found that it wasn't that easy, and they've gone on to other things now. So what's left? What remains are the really, at this point, are I think the most hardcore, serious practitioners, people who are lifers, and so what I'm seeing that us lifers are doing here, so it seems like a couple years ago, maybe even longer than that, there was this big push. I was a huge part of it, of expanding the reach of black magic, of making, putting a net out there and drawing in as many people as we could, and really doing some good missionary work for the devil. And I feel like that was spreading it wide. At this point, I feel like what we're doing is now going much deeper with it. I think that it's hit the people that it's going to hit. people know about black magic. The people that need to find it now know how to find it. But now what we're doing is going deeper with our own individual practices, going deeper with our connections with each other and our alliances with people that are actual practitioners. And so I think it's good. The 100% there's less money to be made now than there was 5 years ago in the left-hand path. It's just the way it is. And that is part of the market economy and just the way the things are. But that shouldn't discourage anybody, because it has never been about money for any of us. So,
yeah, no, I agree. It's funny because most of us, I think, are ex-Christians. A lot of us are. You come from some sort of religious background. That's usually it's a gateway. The religion is the gateway into black magic. And as a rebel, of course, naturally, what are you going to do? You're going to go straight over to the other side right away and check that out. And that's what I did. But I've kind of I'm not really into the whole devil fantasy, hell, and all this stuff. That's not really, I don't really believe in that sort of stuff. And I've kind of come to a realization that these beings that were literally demonized by the church are probably, the Anunnaki. There are these beings that have been here a lot longer than we have. And that's why they have all these power and abilities, and are probably behind a lot of, the stuff that goes on. And, so to me, I want to get to know them. I want to, have a relationship with those beings, and that's why I think it was gaslight, and why it was sort of pushed away, is because they don't want you to get to know these beings. They don't want you to have a relationship with our actual makers, and learn things, So they briefly mention a little bit about the Watchers teaching us. It turns out that's the Gigi. Those are the Anunnaki, where we come from. So that's the thing. Everything is sort of been mixed up, on purpose, obviously, so that we are not aware of these things, And so that's kind of where I'm at now. So, yeah.
Yeah. No, that's 100% is what happened. Is the truth was put into a box with a big danger label on that box, and we were all told we'd get beat and we'd lose our jobs and lose our family if we had looked inside that box. Meanwhile, a complete lie was sold to everybody else as the Abrahamic religions of Christianity, Islam, and Judaism, which are complete lies. What they did is they took Baal, and they perverted him enough to create Jehovah or El, and that became this new god that they just stole from somebody else. Like they've stolen all their rituals, like they stole everything. The single part of specifically the Christian faith is all stolen from other people, and then boxed it together, took all the power out of it, made sure that only the priests can use any of the power of this system, and all you can do is pay us and offer your children up to the priest, and then you'll be saved. No, thank you. But it is crazy how effective brainwashing is on a mass scale, because that's exactly what's happened here: intergenerational brainwashing. And so those of us who do seek the truth have to go outside of society. We have to go countercurrent. We have to be willing to risk losing everything just to seek out the truth.
Yes, exactly. And you got to be a special kind of a rebel to do that, honestly, because like you said, you don't get anything from being on. If anything, all you're going to get is, not positive things. So, as we've seen. And we kind of got to be careful too, because as things are coming out now, you can see that these people have been into some really serious stuff, like, what I mean? Like on beyond anything that we've ever done. Like these people are really like messed up. So I don't want to be associated with that either. You know what I mean? So that's kind of, I think where a lot of people have kind of disappeared as well, because they've kind of seen that as well. And it's like, oh, we better not be part of this because this is going down, So it is an interesting place to be, honestly. Very interesting times. So, and
it really does, for me, comes down to the truth of the matters. It's like that I've peeled back layers through my magic that have shown me the truth of reality that I can't ignore it. I can't look away from it. I can't pretend it's not real. And And so, sorry, I'm kind of stuck. I'm stuck being an outcast and just doing my thing. If that's what it is, I don't think that needs to be the case, because I don't think what we're talking about. First off, it's true. Everything we're talking about is true and verifiable. You can find out for your own self. But also, it's positive. It's transformative. If every person had access to magic, we'd have to be a whole lot more responsible for sure. But we could turn this entire reality into a paradise. Because what's happening is we are all creators. We're already living gods. And so the mass manipulation that's happened is getting every single person to use their godlike power on negative things, on hating your fellow man because they wear a red hat, or because they're in another country, or they have the wrong skin. It's like that's all a big brainwashing operation to get you to use your godlike power on stupid stuff.
It's all distractions, guys. It's all just distracting you from what's really going on. That's exactly right. And that's why they keep, making us fight each other and all of this. And so this is going to be very interesting, but it's going to be especially very interesting once this whole alien disclosure thing comes out. I'm seeing around June, July is where this is going to be coming out, apparently, according to Cliff High. And,
he was right about the last one. God, was he right about the last one or what? Oh man,
he's bang on with this stuff. So I'm not even looking at astrology anymore now, because everybody was wrong about the election. And so I'm like, and that almost to me feels like, because every single person was wrong, I would say we may have changed timelines. Something happened. I know I was really off that whole week. I was cranky as something happened there. I don't think we were meant to go the way we did, but here we are.
There are some people that 100% believe that the moment we shifted timelines was when Trump turned his head and got his ear nicked, because that was supposed to not happen. The other thing was supposed to happen, and when that didn't happen.
Yeah, I don't know if you remember, I did a show the very next day. So this happened on a Saturday. I did a show on Sunday. Yeah. And right away, I mean, when I watched that whole thing, to me, it was like watching the wrestling show. This was Trump on stage acting. Okay, I believe he nicked his own ear. I don't believe any of that stuff happened. It was all done on purpose. And I knew immediately what this was going to do. He just won the election with this show that he just did. Like, I mean, they're all actors, every single one of them.
The lady who can't get her pistol holstered, kind of showing us.
Oh, that was the most ridiculous thing I've ever seen. I mean, there's just no way that would be the security team for, it's just no way.
No, that's an actor pretending to be security that has never actually operated a handgun. Yeah.
And then there was 2 or 3 different shooters, and then there was his van they found later, and I was like, what is going on here? This is like the most ridiculous show I've ever seen. And whoever believes, I don't know. It just, oh man, I don't want to make this into a politic thing, but
that's part of what's really weird that's going on in our reality is it seems like they're cranking up the absurdity. It gets more and more absurd.
They can get away with.
Are we really supposed to accept that this is reality? Because it's being more and more clear. This isn't how reality runs. There's nothing about this is organic.
I know. I mean, when Trump, just the other, I guess a month or so ago, or whatever it was, when he sat there and told us about taking over Gaza. I mean, did you just see Netanyahu's face the whole time? He couldn't believe that Trump was actually saying this stuff in public to everyone.
You're going to put the biggest, best hotels ever. It's going to be the new resort. I'm like, what in the world, dude?
What? Are you insane?
They're literally still bombing it. They're still bombing it. As he's talking about it, they're dropping bombs on it.
Children getting, unalived and everything else. Can you imagine the energy? Speaking of energy, can you imagine going to visit as a tourist there after all those people have been unalived there? The misery that's going on there. Can you imagine as an empath the feeling? Like you would need a bucket of this going down there. I can tell you that. Like, wow. I just couldn't believe it. And Netanyahu's face, like he couldn't believe it. Like I was like, I shake my head on the daily now on everything that's going on. It's just unbelievable, and people are just sitting there, clapping and following along, and just not, did you not hear what he just said? No, yeah, no, So, but anyways.
And we're right down the street from Gaza, where all of that's happening. Right down the road from them in Egypt, they've got this discovery of a city-sized electrical battery sitting underneath the pyramids. Now, it's not that they didn't know that before. It's just that they're deciding to tell us about this right about the same time that the alien stuff comes out. Right about the same time they tell us about our true creators. There's a program of what's the word that they use in the UFO community, of a disclosure, but it's like disinformation disclosure. It's they're feeding us exactly what they need us to believe. Which we should all, every human being should understand. Your government can't be trusted. Whatever government it is, they can't be trusted. They lie, they kill, they're the worst out there. You cannot trust your government.
Yeah, if there's anything that's evil, it's those guys. Okay, and I don't mean like on a small scale politicians. I'm sure they're good intentions when they get in there. It's the ones that are on the top, the ones we don't see really, who are because those are just puppets of the ones who are really in control of everything, and that's just how it's been for a long time. But yeah, I'm hoping that there's some changing of the guards here for the better for us, that our creators actually are going to come back and maybe fix this. Like, you know what I mean? Like, I'm hoping there's some good news coming out of this. But yeah, do you? On the last note, I want to ask you, because you were obviously in touch with all kinds of spirits. Have you gotten anything new as of what are they telling you anything of what's coming or anything juicy?
Juicy.
It is tea time, so get your tea.
Not really, but I haven't been asking because the advice I just keep getting is to just stay hunkered down and just keep putting the energy into myself and into my stuff, but I haven't been really getting any predictions about anything coming up or anything like that. But again, I haven't asked. I remember when this is a frustrating part of magic, is that the beings that you work with are usually looking out for your highest good. So, like for instance, I went to right before we went into Iraq after 9/11, I was doing Enochian work, and so I called on an Aeon from the Enochian system, and I asked him, like, "Are we going to go to war?" And I just put it that simply: "Are we going to go to war?" And it laughed and says, "You're always at war. You humans are always at war. There's never a time that you're not at war." And so he says, the big thing is to not be at war with yourself. And I was like, oh, well, that didn't really answer my question at all, did it? Like, it gave me, maybe what I needed was like, don't worry about the external war, worry about what's going on inside of me. But at the same time, it'd be like, it'd be cool if you told me, what stocks to invest in, whatever. So
I know, right? That would be nice. I know, that's just too easy. They're not going to do that because we're not going to learn anything from that, unfortunately. We got to learn it the hard way. That's what this place is for. It's learning hard knocks, which a lot of us have, so yeah, no, I agree with that answer, because all we can control is how we react to things. And so it is really up to us to turn off the news. If you find it's overwhelming, whatever, turn it off. You know what I mean? And work on yourself. Just take care of you and your family, and enjoy whatever time we have here. We don't know, and we never know, but especially now, we don't know how much time we got here. And so try to, cherish what we do have and enjoy our time here and learn as much as we can, I guess. And then, hope for the best, I guess. Right. So, but, yeah. Do you have if anybody has any questions for EA, put them in here so that we can answer them live here now. Or if not, if you're watching this on the replay, you can always put them in the comment section down below. And I'm sure you can answer them there as well. But I don't want to take up too much of your time. I know an hour is usually what you lot for this. And so do you have anything that you want to close with, or?
Well, I'm kind of, hey, Behemoth X, what's up, brother? I'm just rolling through the chat and seeing some people. you know, I am brought back to Plato. When Plato was talking about Atlantis, he wasn't trying to give us the location of the lost city. That wasn't the point of his story. The point of his story is no matter how much you try, no matter how cool inventions you guys make, it's all going to get destroyed. Everything gets wiped out. It's on a clock, and you can't do anything to beat that clock. So what you do have to do is just, and that can be something like a meteor or hitting the earth, or a solar flare, or you or somebody you love gets cancer and passes away, or you get hit by a truck. We all have a ticking clock, and so on the as above, so below. On the big scale, humanity is not going to be here forever. On the small scale, I as an individual, we're not going to be here forever. And so, like you're saying, Nina, it is just right now. Who are the people you love? What are the things you can do to show that love? What's the little bit of work that you can do in this world to make a positive impact? Because I think that does matter. That does matter in the greater scheme. It doesn't matter what you build. It doesn't matter the physical objects you own. The true spiritual impact you have on people, that lasts forever.
Exactly. That's true. You know, the saying is that, you know, people don't necessarily remember the words that you used, but they'll remember the feeling that you gave them. You know, and that is so true. You know, because words don't really. Yeah. So, anyways, yeah, that's a good advice there, and I don't see any questions here as such, but like I said, you can use the comment section. Also want to just put it out there. I do have an ongoing contest right now for a free Mayan calendar reading that got brought to my attention last week. I just remembered that I got this chart that I can do this reading. So all you have to do is comment hashtag Nina the Mystic 68 on any of my videos, any of the platforms, and I will enter your name into the draw. And once a month, lucky winner will win a Mayan calendar reading. So I just want to put that out there again for everyone. And if you would like some of the white light to spray, more information is down in the description in the video here, every single video usually that I have. And don't forget, Wednesdays, EA is live at 11 a.m. my time. And I'm live. I'll be starting now at 6 o'clock. So I'm going to move my show an hour later than I have been. So at 6 o'clock Pacific time zone, I go live. So lots to look forward to on Wednesdays for sure. And I have EA's links down below as well. Make sure you follow him on Odysee and go and check out his website. A lot of cool stuff on there. And yeah. And also make sure that you guys are liking my Facebook page. I want to go live there starting next month here. And so I think I'm short 18 likes. I need 100 likes on that page in order to go live there. So please like my Facebook page and then friend me over on Nina Rorson. And then, of course, follow me on Instagram as well. And I got a new Discord. So go and join that as well. All that stuff is in the description down below. And yeah. Is that all she wrote? I don't know. Do you have anything else that you want to tell the people?
That might be all she wrote. I appreciate everybody for being here. This is really awesome. You know, that is one of the things is, you know, scrolling through the chat. Some of the people in here have been on this path for as long as I've known them and much longer. And let's just keep rocking it. You know, we don't need a million person army. We just need a few of us that are dedicated to our art and that are not willing to put up with any BS. And then we're solid. So keep it up, guys. Thanks, Nina.
Yes, absolutely. Yes, thank you all for watching. Thank you for liking, sharing, and subscribing. And stay tuned because we got lots more coming. And we'll see you guys in the next one. Bye.